TR Connections Radio presents.
Hello, my name is Toy Moore, and I am your fabulous host with Talks with Toy. On my show, I will spotlight people who have had interesting careers. They will shed a light on how they chose their careers and what they've learned from it. I will also do segments from time to time on adult conversations where we will focus on sex and relationships. My purpose of my podcast is for people to learn, to have fun, to laugh, and experience the shoes of someone else, what they're wearing and how they got into that position of what they chose to do in their careers and their personal lives. I also have a new book coming out in February, and it's called Celebrity Life Behind the Scenes. And with this book, I'm featuring 50 celebrities that I have personally met. I've taken pictures with them. And so I'll just share a little background story on what it was like meeting those celebrities. How did they treat me? How did I feel? Anyway, the whole thing is I just want you to have fun, and I want you to enjoy yourself when you watch each segment of Talks with Toy. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please spread the word. Tell your friends, and I look forward to seeing you, and I look forward to hearing your comments. You have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you here again on Talks with Toy. Hopefully you are following me, and hopefully you are subscribing to my page. Today we have Eric Hunter. Eric is going to talk to us about his career as being a truck driver, and I think he has a different name for it. I don't know what the professional name is, but he is going to talk about his field in truck driving. He's going to talk about where he started, how he got started, some of the ups and downs that he has been experiencing as a truck driver, and maybe anyone who's interested in that field, they can follow his lead on the things that he has learned. So why don't we welcome Eric? Hello there, Mr. Hunter. How are you doing?
Hey, Toy, I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, great. So do you go by your career, your field? Is it truck driver or is it transportational specialist? What is your actual name?
I'm sorry. That's a little spin that I put on it myself. I thought I was more than a truck driver, so I didn't want to just call myself a truck driver. So I'm a transportation specialist.
Okay, I like that. It sounds better. That's just like when I used to be a flight attendant. People don't call it. They used to call it stewardess, and they changed it to flight attendant. Same thing. So yeah. All right. So welcome again to Talks with Toy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you even first got into this field of transportation specialists?
Okay. Well, I'll take you back about 34, 35 years ago when I first had the notion to do it, right before I think my first child was born. And it was just something that I was interested in. I was probably working in retail at the time, and I saw the money in truck driving, and I thought, I can do that. I didn't end up doing it then because of, like I said, I was having a child, and I didn't want to be gone all the time. So that's why I didn't then. Fast forward about another say 5 or 6 years, I looked at it again, and at that time my daughter was born, and I thought I really can't go now. So I just I did retail management for about 20 years before I got into it, and after having enough of retail management, after 20 years of service, I just, I knew it was time. I knew it was okay to leave the children and get out there and do what I wanted to do.
Okay. All right. And so what year did you actually start, and how did you actually start? Like, did you start like with the major trucking companies, or did you start on your own? Explain that that path that you took when you first actually started driving?
Okay, the year was actually 2019, I believe, around May, June, July. Uh, Working in retail, I just had enough, and I would talk to the truck drivers there, and they're like fueling me, and I'm knowing the whole time this is what I need to be doing. And it just got to the point to where I said, okay, it's time. I fired everybody, fired the job I was working at, fired corporate America, and bought a truck and hit the road. I started with a pickup truck, actually. I got my Class B license. And with the Class B license, you can't really drive a semi truck, but you can drive up to 26,000 pounds. So I started hauling like RVs out of Indiana, and I did that for about 3 years, maybe, and until my truck broke down on me, and it was time to do something else after that. At that point, I went and got my Class A license, and at that time, I had to go to school to get it. Before, to get my Class B, you didn't have to do school, but they mandated to where everybody has to go to school now for obvious reasons. And I had to go to school, got my license, and that's when I signed on to a bigger company. But when I started, it was just my own company. I was independent. I would go pick up the RVs, and yeah, that's all I did. I pick them up when I want to, and if I didn't want to get one, I didn't have to. And I was doing pretty good with that. I probably would have kept doing it had my truck held up.
Okay, now first of all, explain what is a Class A license?
Okay, with the Class A license, that's the highest level of CDL license that you can get. And with that, you can drive a vehicle weighing up to 80,000 pounds. That's truck and trailer and whatever you're hauling. Class B, you can only do up to 26,000 pounds.
Okay. Okay, so you did like you say, the RV, doing your own business. What were the ups and downs besides your truck giving out on you, but what were the ups and downs about maintaining your own business?
I would say the upside would have been just being my own boss, marching to my own beat, not having to do anything as opposed to just doing it when I wanted to or needed to, which was all the time because everybody needs to work. But that was an upside for me. The downside, I would say, is probably being away from home for days and weeks at a time. Any type of breakdown with your equipment is not good. And sleeping in your vehicle can be rough. But in the semi truck, sleeping in a pickup truck and sleeping in a semi truck is totally two different things, night and day almost.
Okay, so after you did the RVs, then you went to, what was your next step that you went to in your trucking field?
After I did the RVs, I went and got my Class A license, and that's when I started to drive the semi truck. I started working for a company called, I think I can mention them, TMC, and they're a flatbed company that hauls freight where you put on the back of a flatbed truck as opposed to a box truck or a trailer. I chose them because they were accomplished and they looked like a really good, solid company. And I didn't want to be a guy that just went from company to company. At my age, I needed to have some stability. So they seemed like they had that, and that's why I went with them. And I was with them for probably, I think I gave them a good year before I went back out on my own.
Okay. Okay. So, a little bit back to your Class A. What all does that involve to get that type of license?
I think my training was supposed to be 4 weeks, but it ended, or maybe 6 weeks. It ended up being much longer than they said it would be, due to school closure or weather or whatnot. It just extended it on till way past time it was supposed to. But that's about standard time, 4 to 6 weeks maybe to go get a license. And all you do is you're doing a small amount of classroom work, and then everything else was kind of hands on in the field, driving with a trainer.
Okay, so you went to school to get that license, and
I did. And
okay.
then after you pass the class at school, you have to go down and take a driver's test with the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Is the school like a full-time job? The hours?
I mean, you can say that we didn't get paid or anything, but yeah, it was about the 8
So you
hours.
don't get paid, and then you say it's still 4 to 6 weeks.
That's correct.
maybe?
That's correct.
Okay. Sounds about like being a flight attendant. Okay. All right. So now you say you're back on your own doing the 18-wheeler, correct? Is that the term 18-wheeler? And what does that mean? There's 18 wheels on the truck, or what does that mean to a person who knows nothing about trucking?
Well, yeah, it's 6 wheels on the truck and then 14 wheels on the trailer.
Okay.
Let me count those again. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 6 on the truck, on the tractor, and then 14 on the trailer. But that's not 18, is it?
I don't know. Well, no. Is it 6 sets? 6 sets would that be about right? No, but it's 18 wheels.
It's 8 wheels on the trailer. 6, yeah, 8 on the front and 8 on the trailer.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So, that's not right either, Troy. I'm gonna count it for you, okay? And I'll get back with you on that.
That's why I'm asking. How do they get 18 wheelers? So let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
So whatever's not on the truck is on the trailer. So it's 6 on the truck, and then you can count the trailer, and that's how you get to 18.
I'm sure that was one of your questions on your test that you obviously missed.
They didn't ask me that, ironically. Thank God.
That was too simple. Okay.
So that would be 12 wheels on the trailer, 6 on the front and 12 on the trailer. That's it.
Okay. All right. So now that you are back as in your own business, what advantages do you have with it being your own business? And then what are your ups and downs as far as now having an 18-wheeler that you're doing you have an 18-wheeler business instead of your doing just the trailers. What's the advantages and disadvantages, and the advantages of just being an owner again of your own business?
Yes. I would say the advantages would be, again, being your own boss, making your own decisions and not having nobody, over your shoulder telling you what to do. You still have a dispatcher, but they're not your boss or anything. They just kind of book your loads for you and tell you, where you can go. And then you make that decision. And that was always it for me, just not wanting to work for anybody and have somebody looking over my shoulder. That was the whole thing. And I've had, other businesses as well because of that. But the downside, I think, would be that, you have to cover all the expenses, whether it's fuel, breakdown, maintenance on the truck. That's all part of you. And then insurance. Insurance can be quite high as well. when you're an owner operator, which is what they call whoever owns their own truck, a owner operator. That insurance can be quite high, up to, I think when I first started with my pickup, I was paying like $1,800 a month. So right now, I'm leased on to a company, and I'm not taking that full amount, but I'm paying something on insurance, but it's not the full amount. But yeah, it can be quite high if you're running under your own authority. And I don't want to get too far away from your question, but
Okay. Okay, so say for instance, if you have a blowout, a tire, sometimes we'll see treads along the freeway. From what I was told, that they retread tires. So how much does it cost to fix about how much does it cost to even repair one tire on a truck like that?
that's a good question. I had a blowout actually, and it cost me something to the tune of $15,000,
For
and
one
that was
tire?
not just for the tire. That was for all the damages that happened to my truck and everything because of the one tire blew out. But to the cost of a tire between $400 and $600, depending upon the brand. And the tires that you see on the road are usually recap tires, whereas those will never go on your two front tires, because those two front tires your steer tires have to be like brand new tires before anybody would even put them on your vehicle for those reasons.
Okay. So that's why sometimes we'll see the tread on the freeways compared to a whole tire going out.
Yeah, if the tire went out on the front, it was bad in terms of it was probably wearing too low, and I think that's what happened to mine. It was wearing too low, and I didn't catch it in time. But the tires that just come apart on the road, they're usually off of the trailer, which you can use like a recap tire for the back of the trailer, and they come off often.
And so when the tread comes off, they can just retread it, put more tread on it, and you can
No,
be on
you
your
gotta
way a lot.
buy another tire. You can buy another retread tire, or you buy a brand new one. So I always want to get I try to get a new one every time I get a tire, but I'll buy a used tire, but I won't put a used tire on the front. I'll put it on the rear.
Okay. All right. So what would a day's work or a week's, how long are you out, like at a time? Take us through, say, what a week would be like, or what would your work day be like? How does that start and end?
Okay. Right now, I come home every weekend. I've, worked to the point to where I can do that. And with that, I'll do probably 4 to 5 loads a week and come home, and that's enough for me. I've made enough money at that time. But before, when I was driving for somebody, I would have to stay out a week or 2 or 3 at a time to come home. And then I guess the worst part of that is probably sitting around waiting, for it to be unloaded or to be loaded. Driving 11 hours, trying to drive that whole 11 hours, because you can drive up to 11 hours a day. You work up to 14 hours a day, and then you have to shut everything down. Whichever of those two come first. If you drove your 11 hours and then you're done driving, you can work an additional 3 more hours. And that's just I'm sorry, I got people calling me. You can work another 3 hours, and that's the 14-hour work day.
Okay. So what's the best scenario that you have been in so far? And what's the worst scenario that you've been in so far as a driver?
I would say the best scenario would be able to make my own decisions, and I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just always something that I wanted to do is be my own boss, and that's the best scenario for me in terms of that. But I guess the worst scenario would be, I've sat for 12 hours at places waiting to be loaded or unloaded, and didn't get a chance to come home because of it. And that's never good, but it's part of it, and you got to understand it, and there's no need to get mad about it because it's part of it, and that's what you got to do.
So in doing your job, when you say you have so many loads to deliver, do you get paid according to the loads that you deliver or the time that you spend, say those 12 hours sitting and waiting? Do you get paid for your time once you get to the location and you're sitting and waiting, and your drive time? Like, how is it? Is it paid per hour or per assignment?
Okay. I personally get paid per load. So every load, they give me a price of what it pays, and I choose to accept it or not accept it. A lot of drivers, company drivers, they get paid mileage, how many miles they drive for that week, and that works out for them. But yeah, I get paid per load. I know what I'm making before I go pick up the load, and I get paid once a week. What else was there?
Do you like say if that 12-hour sit?
Oh yeah,
sitting and waiting. Are you getting paid by sitting?
Yeah, they have something called load. Yeah, it's called the merge pay. Whereas after 3 hours of waiting, I guess they figure 3 hours is you can wait that long before you start charging them for sitting there. So I think I get up to like $25 an hour, which is not a whole lot of money, but it's better than nothing, got up to like probably $600 for that before. Actually, I got more than that, almost like $1,000 for sitting and wait. I had to wait the whole weekend. So, yeah.
Okay. And then you said your trailer that you have like a full bed and everything, so it feels pretty comfortable compared to when you were doing your original driving.
Absolutely. You can get a TV, refrigerator, microwave, and a bed. And I'm 6'2", so it holds me. I can stretch out and I don't have no problems with sleeping back there at all. It can get cold at night during winter, and it can get hot at night during summer, and you just gotta adjust your sleeping arrangements. Whether you're gonna run your truck, you can choose to run your truck in the wintertime for air or for heat. A lot of times I try to, suffer through. And when I say suffer through, it's not like I'm just freezing or anything, but I'll, I can get in that sleeping bag and put a few covers on me, and I'm okay. Waking up the next morning, it's still cold, but you get used to it.
Okay. So you just kind of go with the punches. Is there at any point in time that you may unhitch your load because you have to maybe go get something fixed to your actual truck, or do you always take the load with you at all times?
Yeah, if I'm at a truck stop and I say I need a tire and they say, well, can you drop the trailer? Yeah, that's no problem. I'll drop the trailer and just pull into their shop and get it fixed or whatever. That's not very hard to do. It takes a minute to do that.
Okay, but you don't leave it at a truck stop without
never leave it anywhere unattended. That
somebody may take it.
Yeah, and they have locks where you can put on there, but I don't have one, and I'm just not gonna leave nobody's trailer nowhere.
Yeah. So as far as your driving conditions, are there like areas or times that you choose to not drive?
You know what? Starting out, there was, I didn't want to drive in the snow, and I had to drive in the snow when I was doing it with my pickup, and I was in Iowa, and it was probably it was like the weekend before the Super Bowl, or the weekend of the Super Bowl coming up. I think it was on a Friday. I was trying to get home, and they said this is the worst storm ever about to come, and I didn't want to sit in it, so I tried to get out of there, and I made it out of there, but it was rough going home, and that was my first time really driving in anything like that. So I got a little spooked by it, but now I understand it, and I've driven in it since. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. And first starting out, I didn't like driving at night because of the oncoming glare traffic. That would bother me. So for me, I prefer to get up early in the morning and shut it down about 5 or 6, preferably, and that works better for me. But I drive in all conditions. In terms of where I want to go, I try to keep close to the house. I live in Mississippi, so I try to stay south, and not too far, maybe a state or two out away from my house or state, and I try to keep it like that. I've been to Arizona once. I've been to Utah once, doing what I'm doing now, but I prefer to stay around. I can make just as much money doing it nearby home.
Okay, so tell me this. This is the $1 million question. A truck driver amongst car drivers. And either the truck drivers don't want to let the car drivers into the lane that they're in, or the cars don't want to let the truck driver merge. What is your whole thought about that? Because we're like, oh my God, aren't you guys supposed to stay in a certain lane and leave us alone? Or what is your whole take on all of that?
No, we're not supposed to stay in a certain lane and leave you alone. And you're not supposed to bother us
stay
either.
in the second lane or the third lane or something, at least the second lane. Because sometimes a car is getting ready to merge onto the freeway and the big truck is right there. And we're like, we can't get on the freeway. Aren't you guys supposed to stay in at least the second lane or something? Or
no, we're supposed to stay in the right lane and drive. Actually, if there's 3 lanes, then you should try to be in the center lane, but hardly ever in the left lane unless you're passing. Now, when I see somebody getting on the interstate, if I can slow down, I'm going to try to slow down, but it drives me crazy that people don't know how to get on the interstate. And you'll be surprised how many people don't know how to get on the interstate. If I'm slowing down, there's no need for you to slow down too, because I've already slowed down. So I'm to the point now to where I'm hardly not slowing down for them anymore. If they want to, try to get in there, go for it. But it's your life. And I've come to realize also that it used to really bug me, the way they call them 4-wheelers drive. You guys are the 4-wheelers. But I had to realize that you got a lot of elderly people on the road. You got a lot of 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds on the road that don't know how to, just getting in there. So you got to have some grace for them, as much as it kills me. But you got to understand that, she's 80 years old. Why she's out there driving, I don't know, but she's out there. So you gotta kind of give her some grace. And I used to just get mad, and it doesn't help anything to get mad. So I just try to blow it off and not worry about it.
No, is there a certain time period that most truckers, I know you said the hours that you like to drive, you feel more comfortable, but for the majority of truck drivers, is there do a lot like to drive more so at nighttime because maybe it's less traffic at night? or do they just kind of drive in the middle of the day where it's not as much traffic hour? What is the time that most truck drivers, or the majority of them, like to drive?
I think there are drivers that like to drive at night because, you know, the roads are clearer. There's probably some that, you know, like to get up late in the morning or afternoon and start going because, you know, you done missed morning traffic and you might miss rush hour traffic doing that. It's just preference, you know, it's no set times for anybody. Maybe some companies want certain drivers to drive a certain time. Like I think TMC did want us to like get up early and shut down early, but you know, it's not mandatory. They don't make you do it, but it's preference.
Okay, so tell us what if someone wants to get into the line of being a truck driver, what is a recommendation that you would tell them how they would go about doing it, and the advantages of doing it?
I would just tell them to really be sure that it's something that they want to do. I mean, because a lot of people get into it and they're looking at maybe the money aspect of it. And, you know, I did too initially, but, you know, it was something that I always, you know, wanted to do, you know, driving a truck. I think driving is I'm going to say a passion of mine, but it's something that I'm really good at and I don't mind doing, you know, and if I can make money doing that, then why not? So I would say, you know, make sure that it's something that you think you can do or you've done. I would say probably do your research in terms of working for a company. Look at that company because everybody want to sound like they're the best, but you know, everybody ain't the best, and everybody's going to try to sell your dream, and you got to be mindful of that. You may want to talk to another driver as opposed to talking to that company or that representative of the company.
And will drivers like you let someone who's interested in it maybe like go on a trip with them with you so that they can really, you know, see how it's actually done? Is that something that is allowed, or do you even do that?
Well, if you own your own truck, it's allowed. You know, you can certainly do that. Companies probably don't want, and some companies will let your family members drive with you. You know, you got to fill out paperwork and all that. But I own my own truck, so if I want to say, "Hey, come on, I'll take you for a trip," I'll take you for a trip. You know.
Okay. All right. So in closing, is there anything that maybe I didn't ask you that you think would be good for our listeners to know about or to hear before we close?
I would say, you know, if we're talking about the roads, everybody just need to be conscious of driving. It's like people are in their own world and nobody really like cares about that other driver. I've always been the type that I try to like consider other people, you know, in driving. You know, I'm looking at the person behind me. I'm looking at the person in front of me, on the side of me. I try to be proactive instead of reactive when I'm driving. And I think if everybody did that, you know, nobody uses their signals, you know, help me out. Let me know you're going to turn, you know. And, you know, I'm probably sounding on bend ears, but that would be my recommendation to the people in the public.
Yeah. I think that's huge just as a driver, period. But yeah, especially coming up against a truck driver next to a four-wheeler, you know, we have no chance if we collide. So it's even more important in your field. Yes.
And don't take those big risks. I mean, because they'll cut you off like, you know, I could just stop on a dime, and that's not the case. And, you know, a lot of bad things have happened, as you know, with trucks and cars.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for being a part of my Talks with Toy, Eric. I appreciate your time and all of the information that you gave. And hopefully, if someone is interested in contacting you, is there any way that they can reach out to you to learn more about being a truck driver, or what way can we contact you if needed?
Well, sure. You can reach me on Facebook under Eric Hunter, or my email address is Eric, ERIC.B as in boy, .hunter @hotmail.com. I'll reply.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for being a part of Talks with Toy. You have a great rest of your day, and you be safe out there on the roads. And hopefully you are not in any trouble with some of these crazy drivers, four-wheelers or 18s, and everybody stay in their lane, literally.
Thank you, Toy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so thank you again. You have a good rest of your day and be safe.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.